Welcome to the Everyday Eurasia podcast, inspiring faith for every day. A place where we discover together what it means to follow Jesus in our everyday lives. This week we're sharing inspiring stories from Nazarene Missions Teams, stories that reflect the incredible work God is doing in and through us. We live out compassion and serve in mission. Today we invite you to listen to Chad Dickerson. Chad serves on the Eurasia Region along with his wife Lindsey, and they have 2 children. Chad currently serves as the Eurasia NCM program facilitator and the Nazarene Missions Teams co-coordinator for Spain. He served in Peru, Ecuador, and now in Spain. Chad will speak about encouragement.
2 Corinthians 8:13-15 says, "Our desire is not that others might be relieved while you are hard-pressed, but that there might be equality. At the present time your plenty will supply what they need, so that in turn their plenty will supply what you need. The goal is equality. As it is written, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little." These 3 verses are part of a group of several passages in 1 and 2 Corinthians and Romans where Paul is advocating for these 2 churches to collect offerings to support believers in need in Jerusalem. Paul saw the church as one body given not just for building each other up through teaching, prayer, and other spiritual benefits, but also given to support one another in times of material need. Paul doesn't address the question of why some churches have more resources than others. He doesn't answer the question of why some places have more access to things like healthcare or education. Instead, Paul calls on the churches to give out of what they have to meet the needs that are present and affecting the Jerusalem believers. In the face of need, Paul calls them to act. Nazarene Missions Teams and the Church of the Nazarene have built mutual support within the denomination in the same way. Just as the churches in Macedonia and Achaia and Rome gathered their resources to support the Jerusalem church, churches in our denomination have been supporting one another through short-term trips. Our experience over the last couple of years here in Spain has been that we have seen Paul's description of the church reflected in the churches who have visited and collaborated here. Paul mentions in 2 Corinthians 8:3 that the Macedonian church gave as much as they were able and even beyond their ability. We have seen this in churches who have gone above and beyond. One church in New Mexico's team drove hours to buy donuts that aren't available in their town to sell to raise money for the work needed on the church in Seville. We've also seen college students who are studying full-time and still raised money selling flowers in order to put on a sports camp for children in Zaragoza and Fuenlabrada. These churches saw an opportunity to serve their brothers and sisters and found creative ways to raise the money they needed, not for vacation or to buy things they want, but to go and be used by God to advance the work of the church in another place. In the same chapter, Paul points out that the church pleaded with them to be able to serve the Jerusalem church. We have seen the same spirit in some of the volunteers who have come on missions teams. One man who has been on 102 of these trips. Another who used all of her vacation time every year to go on missions trips. The church Paul is describing and these team members exemplify the same spirit, where help and support is not just limited to the surplus or extra that the church had. Instead, their commitment to the body of Christ pushed and pushes them to find ways to go above what their ability might seem to be and let God work more than they could imagine on their own. Paul's encouragement for the churches in Corinth and Rome holds true for our churches today. Are we looking out from where we are to see what God might want us to do in a neighboring community or another country? Are we open to even go for a short time to say yes to God's call? Or is God calling us to support those in our midst who have already said yes and are going to be used by God in furthering the church in another context? To the Corinthian church, Paul said, "But since you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in complete earnestness, and in the love we have kindled in you, see that you also excel in this grace of giving." Where is God asking us to give? Our time, our knowledge, our experience, or our resources? When we say yes, He will do abundantly more than we could ever plan on our own.
Thank you for listening to the Everyday Eurasia podcast, inspiring faith for every day. For more everyday stories, subscribe on this podcast channel, follow our socials Facebook and Instagram, or our newsletter snapshots. For our newsletter and further information about the Eurasia region, visit our website eurasiaregion.org.